Economic soft landing or disaster ahead? Hello, this is Douglas Lucky Larson on the Retire Early and Often channel. And as you know, we discuss how you can retire early and often starting right now. We also do this with our eyes wide open to the current economic influences, both good and bad, so that you can make better decisions. Right now, our government officials, even at the very top, including Mr. Biden himself, might deny that we're having ridiculous inflation and a true recession. The Federal Reserve members, including Jay Powell right at the top, might also keep talking about their magical soft landing, even while we watch small, medium, and large banks fail. However, many experts whose jobs don't depend on them being cheerleaders will tell you that we are in a recession and may be headed for some very ugly economic times ahead, including, but not limited to, high unemployment, stagnant wages, continued price inflation in food and energy and rent and credit costs, insurance, taxes, and many other things that average people need every day. The government uses their CPI or CP-lie, as Mark Moss and Wall Street for Main Street like to say, but most people are feeling a much bigger pinch than the official 6% year over year inflation or 14% over 2 years that they are telling us. Most evidence shows that prices will continue to rise at a much higher rate than any of us want. And the only thing that will bring these prices down, not actually down, but just growing at a slower pace. The only thing that will help this is pain, as Jerome Powell has stated. Now, what kind of pain? Still higher interest rates. He just hiked rates again. And this will continue to bring reduced stock and home prices and job losses. They have spelled it out. Now, that's what they intend to do. And in the meantime, they're spinning the narrative that, you know what, it's going to be a soft landing. Everything is fine. Do you remember how just after the worst of the pandemic shutdowns that we were constantly being told in the media that, oh, it's going to be a K-shaped recovery, meaning that some things would take off after everything opened up, while other things would continue to suffer and go down. That was referring to small businesses and certain stock sectors, real estate, all kinds of things. Well, it was kind of correct. Amazon went way up, and mom and pop retail went down or out of business. Now, as we enter the springtime here in 2023, we've seen some large companies now take a hit. And the COVID darlings like Peloton and Zoom now suffer. But travel and healthcare services and restaurants are looking pretty strong and can't seem to find enough people to hire. Now, we did have an everything bubble where almost everything went up from 2011 through mid-2022. And we did have that small COVID hiccup in 2020. But for the most part, everything went up, from real estate to stocks to cryptocurrencies and NFTs, before entering this current very choppy time over the last year. Now, what most people want to know, and you too, is what is ahead and what can you do about it? We are still very likely to see K-shaped results moving forward, where some sectors of the economy are tanking while others are doing well, especially if you are the right sector that either gets too big to fail status, including bailouts from the government or subsidies or some kind of preferential treatment. After all, we don't really have true capitalism. We have politicians and other decision makers who gain office because of big donations from big businesses, big tobacco, big pharma, big oil, big tech, big agriculture, just to name a few. All of these bigs spend millions and millions of dollars lobbying at the state and federal level, and then we wonder why these decision makers tend to play favorites. So, which sectors are currently tanking and which will probably continue to do so, while which sectors might be going up. Well, most of crypto, commercial office space, and automobile and car financing, those are going down. Risky pension plans, like many states and other municipalities have, those are not doing so well. Left-leaning cities who are soft on crime and having increased homelessness and rising taxes, they're going down too. When all the talking heads refer to a soft landing, they might be correct if they are comparing our impending recession to the Great Depression of the 1930s, where Americans literally starved to death. Anything that we have gone through since that time, other than those who have served in wars, anything else seems like just a bad hair day in comparison. In 2008 and 9, the so-called Great Recession, while stocks tanked and real estate plummeted, well, people still lined up for Harry Potter books and movies and the latest iPhones. In the 1930s, however, people lined up for bread and broth. Also in the 1930s, people lost their homes and lived in shanty towns that they called Hoovervilles because it was President Hoover in office at the time. There was a mass exodus of people from many central U.S. states where drought and dust bowl conditions made farming impossible. These people loaded everything they owned onto whatever they could drive and went wherever they could go to maybe find work and possibly a better life. Again, if our politicians and political appointees are getting technical, well, whatever kind of landing we're going to have after the current crisis, it will definitely look soft compared to the Great Depression and the immediate aftermath of World War II. Still, things are not looking rosy in our immediate future, as Biden and Powell and Yellen promise to crash the economy, at least for Main Street, while bailing out big banks and Wall Street. Again. Is that fair? So what can you do? Can you ignore the clickbait noise and block out the drama? Can you resist the urge to take matters into your own hands and storm the Capitol? Can you prepare for the future, not panic, but stay informed and also take action? Can you find the positives as you realize that in all crashes, not everything crashes? Can you remember that slow and steady wins the race? Day traders and gamblers and house flippers often win for a while, and then one more double or nothing roll of the dice takes them out. Don't do that. Can you also have some extra cash on hand or really good credit, ready for those bargain buying opportunities when they come? I am not saying that you or I will be perfect at timing the next bottom. I believe that time in the market is better than trying to time the market. But if you know the market, whether it's real estate or Bitcoin or commodities, you will recognize some of the greatest bargains in the next year or so. Now, I am not your financial advisor, so I can't tell you exactly what to do. But I do try to provide infotainment that hopefully you find helpful. Again, the big question is, what will happen next and what can you do? Will some businesses go bankrupt? I think so. Some already are. It's actually a sign of a healthy market when bad actors and bad ideas and sketchy business models get shaken out of the economy and better ideas can come to the surface. Will some employees lose their jobs? Yes. We're not really seeing mass layoffs, although, Google, Amazon, Facebook, Twitter, and many others are making some initial cuts. Yet, some industries still can't hire enough people. As we enter another recession, many people will yet lose their jobs. So, what can you do to be a little more prepared for whatever is coming next? Number one, first, secure your income, whether that's being an incredible employee and or picking up a side hustle. and or learning some new skills. Next, secure your housing, whether that's signing a longer lease or locking down a house payment on a property that might give you some flexibility. Maybe to rent out the basement or a space in your place, a room or two, just in case we see more trouble in the near future. I know interest rates are high, but in many areas you can find motivated sellers who can help you buy down your interest rate or just give you a great price. I'm making offers almost weekly and finding great deals. Watch for my other videos as I'm talking about that kind of thing all the time. Next, I would also stock up on some extra food and water and other supplies. That's smart. Finally, strengthen your relationships starting in your own family and neighborhood and even a church group or a gardening club. Relationships are always the key to happiness and the best support system when job losses or hurricanes or earthquakes come and literally shake your foundation. Chris Martenson and Adam Taggart have a great book called Prosper. It's a must read, especially in times like this. They talk about 8 forms of capital that help us to prosper and even thrive in tough times. 2 of those forms of capital that they talk about are social and cultural. The tribe you're a part of and the social connections and trusted circle of family and friends that you create is often way more important than all the money or physical resources that you could possibly amass. If you are a billionaire with a giant wall and a barbed wire fence sitting on a stockpile of food and supplies and gold bricks, how long do you really think it's going to take for very few but desperate people to find a way in? Yeah, not long. Instead, your strong and trusted relationships and networks are everything. They will provide much better support and protection than gold bricks and barbed wire. Now, could you be a little more social on social networks like LinkedIn right now so that if your employment has a hiccup and you need to find a new job, you have some better connections? Could you have a couple neighborhood barbecues this summer to strengthen those relationships right on your own block, just so that you can look out for each other? Personally, I don't think that 2023 is going to see a Great Depression or true hyperinflation or a zombie apocalypse, but certainly recessionary times are coming. Be prepared and not scared. Hey, will you please give us a like and a subscribe and share? And please join us in another few days for another episode of Retire Early and Often. Hope to see you soon.